We're back right here on Sunrise. Good morning to you. Happy Monday. Hope it's a wonderful start to your week. It's time for another segment of Law and Order, JA. And the question submitted today reads, what is the difference between copyright infringement and the legal use of samples in music production? And how can Jamaican artists protect their music from being illegally sampled or used without their consent? Well, zooming in to break it all down, making sure our artists get paid and not played, thanks, Buju, is attorney at law Ron Young. Ron, good morning.
Morning, everyone. Happy to be here. How is everybody?
We're good.
Hi, Ron.
We're good.
We're good.
So, Ron, how is it that a Jay-Z can use Lucifer, son of the morning, I'm gonna chase you out of earth? Why can he turn that into his song?
Well, the main reason is because hopefully he's gotten permission to do so. And that's one of the main tenets of being able to use somebody else's work is you're supposed to get permission. That's a simple way. So let me just go back a little bit so I can explain, so you understand the concept of sampling. We have to look at what copyright law is. So copyright is like a bundle of rights that a creator gets when they create like a literary, musical, dramatic, or artistic work. So if you write a song, then you have copyright in it. If you compose a piece of music, then you have copyright in it. And if you record that song, then you also get a separate copyright in that recording. So what do those copyrights allow you to do? It allows you to control how somebody can use your work, whether they can copy it, distribute it, perform it in public. So you control it. It's an exclusive right that you get in your own work. So what a sample is when somebody takes your work, your song or your recording, and puts it into their work. There are two ways that it's done. One is legally and one is illegally. And when it's illegal, then you're infringing the copyright of that owner. And so with the Jay-Z case, for example, although I don't know it intimately in terms of it, I assume his people got permission, what we call a musical clearance, to be able to use that work.
Ron, question for you. Is copyright something that happens automatically once credits are done, or are there certain steps that an individual must take when they create something to ensure it is copyrighted? How does that work?
Amazing question. So in Jamaica and in the Western Hemisphere, copyright is called a right of creation. So what that means is that once you put lyrics on paper, you have the copyright in it. Once you paint a painting, you have the copyright in that painting. You don't have to go somewhere and register it to obtain that copyright. But there are ways that you can protect it. For example, going to the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office and leaving a copy of your work there and swearing to a document that says that you own it, because it helps when somebody else comes along to challenge your right. But it's a right of creation, so you get it automatically.
Got you.
But Ron, the fact, though, is that not everything in the music can be copyrighted, because you might write a song with a particular chord sequence, with a particular melodic progression, and it might be deemed that, no, you can't copyright this, you can't own that. At what point is the line drawn?
Well, there are two aspects to this. One of those aspects is whether something is in the public domain. What does that mean? Copyright lasts for a certain length of time, and it's a pretty long time, by the way. It's like the life of the creator plus right now 90 years. But there's some music and progressions and so on that are in the public domain. That means anyone can use it without getting permission. There also this whole issue about whether you as a creator are simply influenced by another song, or whether you've actually taken substantial parts of that song where it can be considered as a copyright infringement. That's a big thing. When you look at some of the recent cases that are being fought where people have said, Robin Thicke and Pharrell stole my song.
Yes.
The question is, were they influenced by that song, or did they actually steal such important parts of that work that it's deemed an infringement? And the truth, my view is that it's a very slippery slope. if you're gonna just try and sue all the time, if one song sounds like another, because we're all influenced by other music.
Yeah.
I think you have to get into the details of whether or not there was a particular chord progression, like you say, or a particular musical bed that deemed it so close to this other song that it's an infringement of their rights, and they didn't get permission.
It's like, Lord, his name slips me now, but I'll be loving you until we're 70.
Oh, Ed Sheeran.
Yes, Ed Sheeran.
Right. I mean, that was, and Marvin Gaye's estate was significantly challenging to say it's stolen. And they're saying there are similarities, but there are musical influences that all have those similarities. And so you can't own that particular sequence or that particular chord progression. And that's why I'm saying that especially in Jamaica, where we love to sing over people's stuff.
Well, I was just going to go there. I was just going to say, you know, we have a culture of singing people's songs. I mean, really and truly, sometimes I'm not sure if the song actually even belongs to Celine Dion. I'm actually pretty sure it belongs to another particular local artist.
Exactly.
But
so that's true. But there also, on the flip side, there are a lot over the years, there's been a lot of stealing of Jamaican music.
Right.
Yeah.
Without getting permission from Jamaican artists.
Including entire genres being created.
And entire genres, reggaeton and so on, being created on the backs of Jamaican artists who have worked very hard. Sister Nancy's Bam Bam is one of the most sampled Jamaican songs in the world.
Yeah.
Sampled over and over again. How many times nobody went to her at first. It's only after a while that she was able to go and take action and get people to start paying her for her music. Sean Paul songs have been sampled. Vybz Kartel was sampled by Party Next Door. Some of them are legitimately sampled and clearances were obtained, but in many cases they weren't.
Well, let me ask you this, Ron. What do our local artists do to protect themselves further, say, you know, using organizations like Jams as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. So you hit the nail on the head. So you can register with these organizations called JCAP and JAMS. And what they basically do is they monitor, once you register with them, they monitor their members' work, look and see how it's being used. And so they can identify in many cases whether somebody is infringing it, using it without permission. You can register with the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office, as I mentioned, where you can leave a copy of your work to show proof to the world that I created it and I attempted to show evidence that I registered it. You can also put digital watermarks on some of your recorded digital work you can use technology to trace and see how it's being used. But one of the main things is that you may, in some cases, have to send a cease and desist letter from a great attorney who is experienced in entertainment. I won't name any names, and send that out and say, hey, you're using my work without permission. If you don't stop, I'm going to sue you.
Yeah.
And so these are some of the things you have to do.
But Ron, I'm also concerned for instance, say we have a young artist like Matthew Cup Soup Boss, who puts out a song with his father, and it's an ordinary song, but somebody in the American rap context sees the potential of it and does approach and does seek clearance, but does not purport to give him anything near what it is worth. And then the song becomes a huge hit and he doesn't receive the right amount of benefit. So it's not that they're stealing it, but he's ignorant of what a good deal is like. Is there an industry standard? And then also, for instance, if I knew it was Jay-Z coming for the song, if he knew it was Jay-Z coming for the song, he might negotiate differently. But because they do it in a clandestine way, is there a way that it has to be done?
I mean, that's a great question as well. And the truth of the matter is that artists, whether young or old, and I know it's sometimes a daunting thing to do, but you have to get an attorney or a representative that is experienced specifically in entertainment law, because there are basic standards and there's terminology that the average person won't understand. There's actually terminology that the average lawyer won't understand unless they are experienced in entertainment law. And the thing is, so you have to have good people negotiating on your behalf. And in fact, it is the obligation of the person you're negotiating with to say to you, the young artist, you have the opportunity and the responsibility to get an attorney of your choosing. So they should not be negotiating with somebody who's new to the industry, young, inexperienced, without telling them to get an attorney, because that's in breach of their ethical duty.
This was very insightful,
Yes.
extremely insightful. Now I know what I need to do when I step into the studio and record my tracks.
You call me.
For my next album. I'm calling you, Ron, before I put up my album in time for the next Grammys, I'll call you.
No problem, anytime.
But that was excellent. Really, really insightful
Really
stuff.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much. All right,
You're most welcome.
I appreciate it. So, you heard it. Artists, producers, and even bathroom singers, take notes. Protect your work, because sampling without permission can cost you more than just a little change, right? Also, protect your work, because your future depends on what you set up for yourself in the now. Many thanks to attorney at law Ron Young for joining us this morning. It's time for a quick break, but when we return, Sunrise gets a special visit from the legends of sound system culture.
It's big.
You guys,
This is big.
you do not want to miss this. King Jammy and Jack Scorpio will be in studio, and I promise you it is going to be something very special. Stay with us right here on Sunrise.